Hi, I'm Sahar. I grew up in Northern Virginia. I went to school for undergrad at Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond, Virginia, where I studied sociology and economics. I was privileged enough to be accepted into the Fulbright ELA program, ETA program, English Teaching Assistant, in the year of 2017 to 2018. I specifically applied through my school, and the way that I even came to know about Fulbright is because my school has this department where they focus on getting students opportunities and exchange programs, learning abroad, working abroad, studying abroad, these kinds of opportunities, and they basically help students with the entire application process. So I stopped by the office one day, and they kind of walked me through the process a little bit better. And they told me that specifically for if you're interested in a Fulbright English teaching assistant program, you must pick the country first before you start working on your application. It's very country specific. And also within whichever country, sometimes there's a language prerequisite. So, for example, I think, in some Western countries, I believe maybe like Germany or France, in order to be an English teaching assistant there, you need to know some level of Spanish or some level of French or some level of German, depending on the country. Other countries don't have that requirement. So I picked Kosovo, and you have to really understand your why. I picked Kosovo for a number of reasons. One, Kosovo, the main reason is I thought it would be really, really interesting because there's so many similarities, I think parallels between the people and my upbringing or who I am, my identity. I am a first generation Afghan American, and Kosovo is a relatively young country. It's maybe 11, 12 years old now. And I possibly 13 or something. It's relatively young, and the people are ethnically Albanian, but their nationality is Kosovar, and they're Muslim majority. So me being ethnically Afghan, but my nationality being American, I've had a lot of growing up formulating that identity and coming to terms with what that means for me has been a very interesting experience. And I wanted to learn more about like what that means for Kosovars, what does that look like, and then also being Muslim and living in Europe, what does that look like in terms? And then is it similar to being Muslim and living in America? What is this? What Since there are the majority there, how does that look like? How does that feel like? Because Muslims in America are the minority, or one of the minorities. And so these are a number of the reasons why I was really interested in living in Kosovo and teaching English there. And so with the application process, I submitted my application in October. There were a few items you had to submit. I don't remember all of the specifics, but I know that there was 2 letters of recommendation and 2 personal statements. Things could have changed since then. But I submitted my application in October, and there were 2 rounds of basically being, 2 rounds of the process. So I want to say in February, I found out that I passed the first round, and then in April or May, I got the news that I was a finalist, which was like amazing news. It was like so incredible because Fulbright is a very competitive application and it's a very competitive program. And what I would recommend for students in terms of applying, I would say start early. If I didn't start, I started in the summer. I started looking at the application in the summer. Start early, really think about your why. Really think about how this experience will enrich you, what you can provide, what you will bring new to the table in terms of your identity, in terms of your experiences. And that is what will make you shine. I think being authentic is so important. sometimes I think we can think that we should say what other people want us to say, but I think what makes people successful, the most successful people, are the people who are just authentic and come from a place of being genuine in terms of, you know, what their passions are, what their interests are. Just to talk a little bit more about my experience in Kosovo. So I want to warn everyone that the first month will be an adjustment. It was for me, at least. I had no idea. I remember I remember arriving and thinking, oh my goodness, what did I get myself into? Because it's a culture shock. It really is a culture shock. You don't know the language. I didn't know the language. I didn't really know the culture. I had studied as much as I could in terms of, prep work, but nothing really prepares you for living in the country if it's your first time. And I've never lived in a developing country either, so there was like an adjustment there. And I think I really just, I want to say, I felt like a fish out of water. That being said, the first month was rough, but afterwards, the more I think when you're pushed out of your comfort zone is when you grow. And so you embrace it, right? You embrace the fact that you're uncomfortable. But for me, it was like, okay, I'm here for 10 months. I may as well make the most of it. And so I really, pushed myself to be social, to make friends. And I think when you put that energy out there, the world receives it, and you will be met with warmth and friendliness and the right people to make the experience amazing for you. And by the end of the year, by the end of my stay in Kosovo, I was in tears. I was so emotional about leaving. I actually did not want to leave because Kosovo had really it stole my heart, honestly. There's just something so kind about the people. The way of life is just so beautiful and has a slower pace of life than America. And understanding that, I learned so much from the experience. I learned that, oftentimes people have very wrong misconceptions about a place. I remember before I moved to Kosovo, I had a lot of people ask me, is it safe there? Will you be okay? And they were thinking about the war in that area over 2 decades ago and not knowing what the situation was like now. And it's just crazy because going there and living there, it's nothing like you would think. It's really, really, it's peaceful. People, of course, there are issues. Every country has social problems and things that they need to improve on. For example, unemployment and things like that, and infrastructure. So you obviously, anywhere you go, that's just a given. But if you're open to receiving and learning, then you will have an amazing opportunity and an amazing experience, whichever country you go to. Of course, you have to be smart with, being aware of your surroundings and your judgment, but those things also get sharpened when you are in this kind of experience living abroad. I was one of 3 in Kosovo, one of 3 English teaching assistants. Other countries have a ton more. Kosovo is a smaller country, so that's probably one of the reasons why we were only 3 of us. I was in a country by myself. I think in other countries, sometimes there's more than one English teaching assistant in a given country, but that was just my experience. So yeah, I think really if you're thinking about applying to the Fulbright program, or if you're thinking about applying to any exchange program, I would say you have nothing to lose and so much to gain. And so I would push yourself to really seek out these kinds of experiences. There are times in life where you have the flexibility and the space to go abroad, to live abroad, to just have enriching experiences like this. And then there are other times in life where, for whatever reason, other circumstances you have going on, you just you can't afford to. And so when life gives you that space, when life, opens a door for you, walk through it and see and be open to learning, because there's so much room to grow. I'm happy to answer more questions. Please reach out to me. I'm on Instagram at _Sahar_SAHAR period 23. And I wish you the best of luck in terms of any exchange program you're applying to. Bye.